Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you another game between Grubby and UkraineStar. Game 3 taking place here on Typhoon Peaks. Grubby spawning as the green Protoss player on the bottom left hand side of the map. Meanwhile, UkraineStar spawning on the top right hand side of the map as the blue Zerg. Let me know if my volume is getting better. I adjusted my microphone levels in order to try to balance everything out just a little bit more. But if you guys are still having problems hearing me or being able to listen to me, let me know and I will try to make the necessary adjustments. Yeah, the Control W for some reason didn't work in a previous game, but now it is working once again. Back in the game, Grubby now setting up a pylon most likely, and now we'll be getting that 10th and all-important probe before he starts to chrono boost out more probes to get a stronger economy. Meanwhile, UkraineStar pretty much opening with a pretty standard build so far, just getting a lot of drones, nothing really indicating what he's trying to go for. Now, whenever you play a map or whenever you evaluate a map, you want to take a look at the natural expansion and see how well it is or how easy it is for a Zerg to try to expand into the natural expansion location. This one is rather close. The creep ends and the creep should start up relatively close, so it only takes one or perhaps two creep tumors to link the base. And also, one spine crawler here will be able to defend some of your natural expansion in addition to your ramp, making it very easy to double invest with one spine crawler. So yes, UkraineStar looking, oh no, not going for he is not going for a hatchery. Instead, he went for a spawning pool first. I believe he saw Grubby's probe show up right then and there and realized that he doesn't want to go into a massive battle to figure out, or a massive pylon placement probe battle to see if he can stop that building placement there. The probe just going to wander around just a little bit here, and we'll see what's going to be happening. Yeah, the probe just on patrol in between those two rally points right there. We are going to get a spawning pool up, and Zerglings will most likely be coming out in just a moment. And oh, the drone at 8 hit points is able to escape. Nicely done, UkraineStar, delaying that all-important cybernetics core for quite some time. Meanwhile, the probe still wandering back and forth. It's still going to be quite some time before a Zergling is able to come down and try to clear that particular location. The drone now coming in, a probe just wandering around, saying, minding his own business, wanting to make sure that a hatchery doesn't get built. The drone not realizing its dreams, or its dreams will be delayed just a little bit longer, as oh, finally you see UkraineStar finally place down that hatchery. The tightness on that circle not quite enough in order for that probe to block that location, as Zerglings are now moving across the map. So Zerglings making their way south. The Zelnaga watchtower being activated temporarily by the probe. No, the probe didn't see the Zerglings, and that probe is going to get lost in that battle right there. The probe already on its way, but two Zerglings can easily catch up and take out that one particular unit. We are going to have a Zealot sitting right here, and now a very interesting maneuver by Grubby. Grubby going for an early Stargate before a robotics facility, before even a second gateway. So perhaps he will be able to capitalize and utilize the air presence and the air superiority early on in order to be able to shut down UkraineStar. UkraineStar currently just running off of one hatchery, already training up a second queen. Second queen will pop out, most likely lay down a creep tumor, and then continue along its merry way, or may just decide to try to spawn larva. Yeah, spawn larva would probably be a decent and fair call at this stage as well. No, UkraineStar now getting that creep tumor down and making its way out with that queen. The queen already sitting at 8 energy. By the time it gets down to here, probably around 12. And then should be able to spawn larva in just a second. You can see the Zerglings still wandering across the map, and still as drones are now being transferred over. There is a Void Ray being added to the army, so and we'll see if any Overlord hunting will be successful. You can see a second gateway already coming in, and now the Void Ray going on with a very just trying to look at and see where exactly it can travel. It's perhaps looking for some Overlords, and now going to station itself right there, now making its way out over here. It needs to be a Phoenix to follow it up. If there isn't a Phoenix to follow it up, the Phoenix, if you build it second, it can catch up to the Void Ray. By the time it gets there, it can graviton beam the key unit and then pull away. We already see a Nexus down over here, and was it spotted out? UkraineStar now getting a Spore Crawler, and yes, he was able to gain sight onto that Stargate. So that Stargate was revealed. The early investment not going to pay off for him at all, as there are Excuse me, there is a spore crawler now in play, and now 2 queens quickly coming in, dropping those needle spines into the back of that Void Ray, and the Void Ray being forced to pull away once again. The Void Ray on the move. There is a Stalker Sentry Zealot on the move, and this is going to be a very bad timing as those Zerglings may be able to run by and get straight into the base. Oh, if it had run up that ramp, it may have actually been able to get some damage on the mineral line and perhaps disrupt all these probes down over here. As the Void Ray looking to get some damage, going down to snipe down the Evolution Chamber, damage is dealt very, very quickly towards an armored building like that. And now the Queen battling it out against a Void Ray, but we most likely will be getting a transfusion. And oh, Void Ray backing off just out of was just out of sight range for just a split second, and now pulled away even further, taking 8 points of damage. I believe the Void Ray, one of those armored units that do not have a base 1 armor, so they do take the full damage very early on. So that's one of the reasons why Vikings are so effective against Void Rays: superior range, superior speed, and the Void Rays are armored units that do not have a base 1 armor, so they are essentially glass cannons. Sentries and Stalkers now on that low ground, perhaps trying to protect and be able to place down force fields, preventing any of those Zerglings from running by and getting any damage at all. Assimilator is now being warped in as well. It is going to be running off of, I believe, 4 gas in just a second. Income wise, 36 harvesters compared to 45. That is not looking good for Grubby. And UkraineStar playing a very macro style Zerg. Grubby has not been effective at all with his early harassment, his Void Rays, his cannon rushes. It hasn't really paid off for him, and it's really allowing UkraineStar to play his style of StarCraft. And when UkraineStar, or whenever you have your opponent, or whenever you allow your opponent to play their style of StarCraft, that is when you're playing your opponent at their best, and you want to make sure your opponent is not at their best. So UkraineStar now coming in with those Zerglings, keeping good tabs of what is happening continually. There is a Void Ray in the air going after some of those units, and now getting some kills on some of those Zerglings. Zerglings really have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Perhaps going to try to suicide themselves against a couple probes, and 1 probe was destroyed in that battle. And now Grubby looking to have a decent sized army, so 29 versus 24, but there's a 46 versus a 63 food supply difference, and this is always a problem for Protoss whenever their Zerg opponent is powered running. The Zerg player has a decent sized army, those queens helping out significantly. One of the benefits of a queen is that they do not take larva, and they are a decent counter to those Void Rays. If a queen required a larva at the very least, then that's at least 1 drone you were able to prevent from being built. Hydralisk now making their way over as well. A queen now coming over to be the queen of this particular hatchery, and this hatchery will start to be able to train or get on average 10 larvae every minute. And while being able to train up 30 units, regardless of what type of food it is, off of 3 bases, very, very nice for a Zerg player. I don't think that Grubby has the same amount of macro by any stretch of the imagination. Gateways normally take about can warp in 2 units at every minute, and then a robotics facility generally 1. We can see that Void Ray trying to snipe down this one particular hatchery, and oh, in come the force fields. This Void Ray, however, still battling it out, needs to really pull away, perhaps get some damage onto those destructible rocks. By destroying those destructible rocks, he would have easy access and then force UkraineStar to perhaps try to defend an additional location. That's what you want to do. This one pylon gonna get destroyed very easily, should get canceled by Grubby. Oh, I'm not sure if that was actually canceled, as there is also an Overlord in the base now, keeping track of Grubby's base so far. You can see now those Overlord or Roaches and Hydralisk now slowly making their way out. Weapon speed upgrade, a weapon range upgrade has been completed, and now a pylon being warped in here. So Grubby playing very sneaky with that probe, may actually get some damage with those units. And now in come the force fields, nicely done. Sentries with force field, 1 more force field, finally finishing off that front door, and those Roaches are just gonna get absolutely destroyed. More force fields, and now trapping even more units, so more Hydralisks, more Roaches gonna get destroyed, and very nicely done by Grubby. Grubby with a smaller army able to inch out that fight there. Grubby now does in fact have a pylon on that high ground, and he could try to utilize it in order to get some damage. Not sure what he's going to try to do with it there. Oh, warping in photon cannons. So 2 photon cannons now warping in. If he gets some additional zealots as support, those zealots will be able to handle those zerglings nicely, while the photon cannons are just battling it out from range. These 2 photon cannons are going to be able to destroy plenty of drones, actually probably around 4 before UkraineStar realizes what is happening and pulls away. You can see that there is some distance here, and a drone now already on the way out, gonna get quickly sniped. 1, 2 shots already down, and now these drones are gonna get destroyed. So the natural life regeneration preventing any of those drones from getting destroyed. So natural life regeneration for the win there, saving 2 of those drones, requiring a photon cannon to get 3 shots in order to shoot down a drone. That's always a very disheartening, as you see 1 hit point workers or 1 hit point units able to escape. There are no observers in this group, and that is a big surprise. You really need to shut down a Zerg's creep highway. Grubby needs to shut down the creep highway so that those Hydralisks are not able to get within combat range of those Colossus. Those Hydralisks have a range of 6. Colossus has a range of 9. If those Hydralisks move 50% faster than a Colossus, there is a significant chance that those units are going to be able to get in some damage. Hydralisks, Stalkers, and Void Rays in the air. This is a very nice combination of units. This is something that I would normally see from Zoke. Zoke, is it Zoke? I think it's Zoke. A very well balanced, just a death ball of units. Void Rays to absorb Corruptor damage, and then you have Colossus to fight back onto the ground. If you do not deal damage back towards those Void Rays, the Void Rays are dealing 26 damage back towards those Corruptors. And because Void Rays are not massive units, the Void Rays can actually take a little bit, or take about the same amount of beating from those Colossus, even though they are significantly cheaper to build. Hydralisk and Roaches now just sitting outside that Zonaga Watchtower. Level 2 weapons upgrade. Meanwhile, we're getting the Glial Reconstitution, the Zerg Carapace upgrades, and more Roaches. Taking a look at the armies again, 94 army supply versus 118, 61 worker versus 78. Definitely in favor of UkraineStar at this stage in the game. We do have 1 observer out now. Finally, as we are now getting another hatchery here, this hatchery will be completed, and it has been spotted by, and the Overlord has spotted this pylon. So perhaps some more photon cannons going to be warped in. No, Zealots being warped in straight off the bat. And now Zealots going straight after that hatchery. The units are going to be trying to funnel in just a second. The Zealots not going to have an easy time trying to take down a hatchery. The hatchery has just way too many hit points, and down it goes. But the major battle now back over here. Force fields now in play. The Corruptors going straight after those Colossus. The Colossus perhaps should try to pull back. Stalkers and Void Rays dealing back damage towards those units here. And the units and the army of UkraineStar is falling fairly quickly, down to 68 supply versus the 78 food supply. And those Void Rays really absorbed a lot of damage, and they were very important and instrumental in taking down those very armored units. And now this creep highway is going to get destroyed. We are getting a very large army of units coming back out in just a moment. And now what will be happening here? The Stalkers, do the sentries have enough energy? No, the sentries do not have enough energy for that many force fields. It is not going to be a good fight. There you go, only 2 force fields. And now the Hydralisk are just going to be able to swarm into this location. The Void Rays now trying to run away, but once again, Hydralisk moving so quickly on creep, dealing so much damage. And now down goes 1 queen in an attempt there, as this Colossus now trying to pull away. The Overlords also joining in on the fight, not quite sure what they're going to do. And now the Colossus upgrading to that high ground, and using that high ground with a range of 9 should be able to fight back against some of those Hydralisks, as those Hydralisks are not able to do much. UkraineStar now sacrificing some of his Overlords though, so Overlord after Overlord is starting to fall. And wow, that was a very odd engagement there. The Zealots were actually able to finish off this expansion over here. No, and the Photon Cannon getting in on that action as well. Army-wise, you can see 3925 versus 3950. The major difference is going to be the worker supply. Army supplies 72 versus 98, 69 versus 77 in terms of worker supplies as well. But this is probably the best showing I've seen from Grubby in this series yet, as the Colossus are once again on the move. Level 2 weapons upgrade. Stalkers getting a quick blink, getting more damage, and those roaches having a very difficult time trying to walk around those hydralisks, and the Stalker is going to get even more kills. If they just continue to attack move, they're going to be very, very successful, as the Void Rays and the Colossus can just engage here, getting 2 rounds of attack. They should probably just try to engage the hydralisk. It's only 1 corruptor, and just engage, and it would work out. The Void Rays finally pulling away there. I think actually that battle would have gone very well in favor of Grubby if he actually tried to engage. He didn't engage, and now forced to pull back, and now we are getting the level 3 weapons upgrade, level 3 attack level 3 Colossus, gonna help out tremendously. An Overlord suiciding itself in. It wasn't adding to the food supply, so it doesn't really matter. And Grubby now looking to also get the Protoss arm or air weapons upgrade, and that is gonna help out also as well. Infestation Pit finally being laid down by Ukraine. Ukraine wanting to perhaps upgrade to Broodlords, get some Ultralisks, do something. Ultralisks very effective against Stalkers normally if they are fighting on creep. And now level 3 weapons upgrade going to be completed just now. Corruptor is going to snipe down this 1 unit there, but oh, many of those Corruptors were taken down, so that loss, that trade was actually in favor of Grubby in this battle. Only 2 Corruptors left. Hydralisk and Roaches now in full retreat. You can see another probe down over here, I believe, was taken down. Another Nexus being established here. Grubby not expanding nearly as quickly as he needs to, but he does have a superior mineral and gas army. Supply-wise, he is starting to catch up, and this is going to start to take its toll. This war of attrition starting to go in favor of Grubby, especially as he has that level 3 weapons upgrade. Level 3 weapons upgrade dealing 17, 19, 20, 42 damage per attack against Hydralisk, and that means that if those 2 Colossus attack the same Hydralisk, a row of Hydralisk could easily be destroyed. There are only 3 of those units here, and now Corruptors falling to the wayside once again. The Stalker's going to try to engage. No force fields in this group, and now in comes some Psystorm. No, yeah, there's 1 Psystorm, 2 Psystorms, softening up the rest of that army, but that is not a perfect engagement there, as the Colossus and Stalkers are continuing to battle it out. Colossus are dealing a lot of damage. Both sides are exchanging blows, and the Stalkers are now up on the high ground, and now able to pull away, and no Overlords in this group. Nicely done, but they are activating the Zelnaga Watchtower. The Colossus still getting a lot of damage across those units, and by walking up onto that high ground, they were temporarily able to get damage onto those units without being revealed. However, a Zelnaga Watchtower having something to say about that after it was revealed, completely changing the outcome of the battle once more. Army-wise, 4275 versus 4100. Income-wise, 70 probes versus 51 drones now. So drones are now being lost. I believe, yeah, this hatchery over here was taken down in an engagement. I'm sorry, I did not keep track of that. So it is now looking as though Grubby running off of 2 bases compared to a 1 base, 2 base Zerg. So it is 2 bases versus 2 bases, but there is a definite difference in terms of income. 2,000 versus 1,300, and a lot of gas coming in for the Zerg player. So UkraineStar getting a lot of gas here. This Nexus doesn't want to transfer over any probes, just gonna build those probes the old-fashioned way, and by chrono boosting, I guess that's not old-fashioned, but yeah, by chrono boosting it as well. We can see the Void Rays now moving along and getting some additional damage as well. It looks like they may be able to snipe down another hatchery. Oh, why aren't these Void Rays joining in on the fight? Not 100% sure, as Corruptors now making their way over. So Grubby slow to expand, but it looks like he's been able to pick and choose his battles very, very well. This 1 Void Ray going to try to battle it out. Corruption quickly on that Void Ray, and it is destroyed. Protoss ground armor upgrades now being researched. We are also getting the Greater Spire. I'm not sure how the Greater Spire is really going to work out, just because there are a lot of Void Rays, and Void Rays deal additional damage towards massive. Hydralisks now coming out as well. Psystorm and preventing those units from being able to really walk in, and now those Hydralisks and another Psystorm just weakening that army, and massive Psystorm in this battle, completely softening up the rest of the army. The Colossus going to try to get as many kills as possible. The Stalker is going to be able to finish it. Grubby now merging those Archons, and a 5,000 mineral army by Grubby versus a 900. And I believe Grubby should just be able to clean up the rest of this fight now. Production-wise, 14 roaches and the level 3 missile attacks, but the Void Rays are just going to be able to deal more and more damage. There is a couple Colossus. The Colossus already have 20 kills. The Void Rays just racking up those kills against those Overlords now, and it looks as though Roaches now coming in from the backside. The Roaches, oh, Stalker's blinking in order to get in front of those Roaches. Beautifully done. The Colossus still falls, but not after all the rest of the Roaches are destroyed. Void Rays are still in the air. 1-0 upgrades dealing such a significant amount of damage. I believe the upgraded damage is 18 damage per attack, so the damage is getting close to 30. And there's the GG from UkraineStar. UkraineStar losing game 3 in this series right now, so it is a 2-1 advantage for UkraineStar versus Grubby. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys really enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Grubby and UkraineStar here on Typhoon Peaks. Stay tuned for game 4 in this series, I believe to be on Backwater Gulch.